What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? What's up, family? It is your girl, your deeper in knowledge, Lady Mocha, representing Mocha's Cafe de Paris. What's good, family? Good to see y'all. Know it's been a while. I have not uploaded in a while. As all of you know, I am still in process of training at the police academy, so my time is very limited. So I realized that unfortunately I have to operate my show like child support. I just got to show up when you least expect it. I can't even forewarn you. I just got to just ambush you practically. I can't plan nothing because every time I plan something, every time I try to notify everybody that I'm going to be on at a certain time, it never works out. So until I'm done with all of this, I just got to kind of do stuff on the impulse because, like I said, my time is very crazy. What's up, James? Good to see you. I have not seen you in a while. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. What's up, Nolan? What's up, family? For everybody who's entering. If I do not acknowledge you right away, it's not that I'm ignoring you or not that I think you're irrelevant. Sometimes I get on the roll with my topics. So just definitely just know that you are welcomed. I appreciate you for stopping by. But y'all, I felt it was very imperative that I presented y'all with a new recipe. I've did a content on this before, but I felt that I needed to revamp it and pretty much do a remix on it because I'm starting to notice that it's becoming like a major epidemic. But what I'm starting to notice, y'all, is that there's a lot of miserable married women. I'm starting to notice that there's a lot of married women that are acting out. They're basically acting more thotty than these single women, and I understand in a sense, even though I don't agree with the way a lot of women handle their business as far as with men. The fact that women these days, we don't allow brothers to put in work as far as getting to know us, valuing us. Not their fault. The majority of it has a lot to do with the way women have learned to carry themselves over the years. We've lost our respect. Women have lost their dignity. Women have become more and more desperate by the day. So because of that, women are becoming less and less selective. Women are pretty much overdosing off of this drug that I like to call attention. There's way too many. It's bad enough we have too many single women that are overdosing off the drug of attention. But what I'm starting to notice, y'all, we have a lot of married women. I'm starting to notice there's a lot of married women out there that are overdosing off of attention. Now, as I stated, even though I don't agree with the fact there's a lot of married women that carry themselves in a manner that they carry themselves, but the thing is, I have to give single women a pass because they're single. I mean, if she wants to be thotty, she wants to be promiscuous, she wants to carry herself like a hood rat, I can respect that because she's single. She does not have a ring on her finger, and there's no man claiming her. She does not belong to anyone. So if a single woman wants to do her, even though, I don't agree with the fact just because you're a single woman, that doesn't make it acceptable for you to put more mileages on your vagina, than a 1974, 1984 Honda Accord. I still don't agree. I still feel like as a woman, single or married, you still need to carry yourself to a certain standard. But let's face it, women, unfortunately, us women today, um, we're starting to what's the word, depreciate as far as our value, because like I stated, women have become toxic to attention. We have a lot of women, black women, and when I say black women, I'm talking about myself, not just all the sisters out there. If I'm going to talk about the sisters, I'm talking about me. I'm a part of the black women culture, whether I want to be or not. I belong to them. So when I'm talking about black women, I'm including myself in the equation. I have to. What's up, Calvin Abrams? Thank you for coming in. What's up, T193U? Glad to see you. I know it's been a while. I got some of my regular church members in here who came to get a word from Lady Mocha. Long as y'all pay y'all 10% tithes in Mocha's ministry, you're welcome to come here. But no, all jokes aside, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate my regulars. Nolan and T193 and James, they're my regulars. Calvin, I thank you for coming on in. So, I appreciate y'all. Definitely. Y'all know how I operate, you know what I mean? So I thank y'all for supporting y'all girl, rocking out with me after all of this, since I've been on this journey. So I appreciate it. But as I was stating, we're getting to a place to where, like, I'll put this out here: if it does not apply, you don't have to reply. If this content is not, if you don't fit the material that I put in this content as a black woman, you don't have to get offended. You don't have to throw shade. You don't have to do none of that. If it does not apply, you do not have to reply. Because I know as black women, we feel the need to defend ourselves on everything. Black women, we do not like to be addressed. We do not like to be called out. We do not like to even be talked about. So I get it. I understand. If the content is a little too strong, or you find it offensive, or you don't feel like I'm sharing, if you feel like my content is too negative, or I'm throwing too much shade at the sisters, you're welcome to leave. You're welcome to leave and exit gracefully. No hard feelings, because I get it. Nolan, yeah, Lady Mocha, don't take it the wrong way, but I've seen that women don't know how to be feminine anymore. Oh, yeah, Nolan. I mean, I can't get offended by that, because it's the absolute truth. And remind me to come back to that. As a matter of fact, I need a little pen so I can jot down stuff. Try to make a point about that. I'll make sure, Nolan. I try to address the reason for that, because you're not the first guy that I heard say that. You know what I mean? So let me write that down. Yeah, but as I was stating, it's unfortunately, I'm starting to see so many married sisters that are overdosing off of attention. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that, I get it, I've been married 19 years. It'll be 19 years come March 4th. And I realized as a woman, marriage is a full-time job, and I definitely know it's not just a full for women, it's also a full-time job for you men, because I understand as a married man, being a husband, it's a lot expected out of you guys as husbands. You men, y'all have to fill a lot of shoes when you are married, and I respect those who are married, and I respect those who would never want to be married. I understand both sides of the spectrum. What's up, Peace Cobbler? I appreciate you, hon. Thank you for stopping in to holler at me. Thank you. I appreciate your presence. Um, yeah, back in the day there was charm school. Yeah, and we need charm school. We need those classes again, especially with this generation. But I understand when it comes to marriage, marriage is a full-time job. I tell anybody, do not get married if you still have childish tendencies. Marriage is for grown folks. We have too many grown men, grown ass women that are not married. They are playing house. There's a difference between being married and playing house. Just because you run to the courthouse and you sign some marriage certificates or marriage licenses just because you have a big fancy wedding and you invited everybody in the neighborhood, all your friends, everybody done seen your wedding dress, everybody done seen, your venue and all this other stuff. It's a lot of married people that still don't really understand the concept of marriage. And once you become married, it is no longer about you. And the problem is we got a lot of people that are married with single people tendencies. Just yep, had to get my cookies out the oven, y'all. I ain't want them to burn. What's up, Life Machine Power? Thank you for coming in. Appreciate you. I know I haven't been catching any of your lives lately. I have been really, really busy. This live here was on the spare of the moment. So I'll most likely throw you a link in a few when I get around to it. So I could bring you into the show if you're not too busy. Thank you, T193U. For the $10 donation. I appreciate you. Thank you so, so, so much. I'm very grateful for that. I thank anybody uh that donates, even if you don't donate, just the fact that you are here, I am grateful. So thank you so much, T193. I'm very appreciative of your donation. Thanks again. Nolan, when I see yeah, I say it makes me wants to be married, my family members. Yeah, well, it's a lot of dynamics to it. And the reason why I can go into it, for one, it's too many people giving marriage advice that don't know anything about marriage. And I try to make sure the reason why I could speak on this topic is because like I stated, I've been married for 19 years. So I know the game. I know the ups, I know the downs, I know the the drawbacks that come with it. I understand that marriage is something that's very sacred, and a lot of people are straying away from marriage because there's so much negative images that you see about marriage, Nolan, and I totally get it. It's a lot of brothers that are straying away from wanting to marry us as black women because a lot of you guys, all y'all see is the negative images of black women. And I get it, that's unfortunately more of the negative things about black women are starting to stand out more than the positive. Um, you go on any YouTube channel, you would rarely hear anything positive about a black woman who has her stuff together. You will rarely hear the media make a big deal out of a black woman who graduated from college, a black woman who owns her own company, who owns her own business. Black women that are doing something positive, we do not get a lot of shine. We don't. We do not get a lot of shine. The only time black women, the only time we really stand out, the only time we really getting type of exposure is when we're acting ratchet. If we're on Waffle House scrapping and fighting each other down and stripping each other butt naked in Waffle House, fighting and scrapping and duking it out after the club. You see us scrapping in the street in front of Family Dollar, pulling out each other's weaves, and we fighting and titties popping out, and skirts rolling up, and we ain't got no drawers on. Unfortunately, that's the publicity that is what is being exposed the most when it comes to us as black women. Black women who are positive, like I said, we don't get a lot of shine. We don't get no stories on the media. We don't get a lot of hype. We don't get a lot of credibility. And same thing for you black men. I'm sure I notice a lot of my brothers, y'all don't get a lot of positive um credibility either, because every time we turn on the news, we're seeing you either get locked up in jail, we're seeing you killed somebody or somebody killed you. Unfortunately, black people, when we're under the radar, when we're in the spotlight, 9 times out of 10, for the most part, it's always something negative. So I get it. I'm not doing this content to make all you brothers sympathize with black women, because the truth of the matter is you cannot sympathize with all of us. I would be phony. I would be hypocritical to do a content and then making you change your mind completely about what you feel about us as black women. Because the truth of the matter is a lot of us bring it upon ourselves. We do. And there's not too many black women that's going to tell you that. It's not too many black women that's going to be open with you and tell you, a lot of the things, a lot of the pain that we go through or we experience as black women, we bring it upon ourselves, because A lot of us have made a lot of poor life decisions in our young age, and unfortunately, it comes back to haunt us as grown women. And if we don't get a grip on it, or we don't get any type of spiritual guidance, or we don't get any psychological help, it will continue to keep eating at us as cancer. And that's why a lot of you brothers run into a lot of us black women that are damaged goods, because a lot of us have not gotten all the help that we need to better ourselves, and some of us are too much in denial anyway about even wanting to get help. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But as I was stating, I've been married for 19 years, and I married when I was in my early 20s. I was like 21, uh 21, 22, when me and my husband married. And usually at that age is not too many black women that are going to marry at that age. What ends up happening is, what's starting to happen a lot now, is more black women that are becoming promiscuous, and becoming a baby mama versus becoming a wife. And during our time, even back in the day when our grandparents, our grandmothers was coming up, they strived to be wives. Women used to strive to be wives. Women have strayed away from that. A lot of black women have strayed away from that. They're not striving to be wives anymore. They have learned to settle in with being a baby mama, because being a baby mama, it doesn't require much effort. All it takes is you basically uh being promiscuous. When you become a wife, you have to have a lot of credibilities where you're supposed to anyway. So it's a lot more work. Craig Harris, a thought. What is thotty meaning? Acting promiscuous, basically. Acting like a Jezebel, acting a little whorish, I know that's my little, I do use a little hood rat slang term from time to time, but that's what thotty is. It's just another word that they use in the hood, or use in a black community for a woman that's very promiscuous. That's easy. You know what I mean? So that's all it is that's just a little slang term. I judge women by their friends to see if they're serious to be in a relationship, and see if their parents are still married. Absolutely. It's all kind of things that you have to take into consideration when it comes to um dealing with a black woman, as far as if you're trying to find somebody that's wife material, somebody that's worth of value. And I speak on this all the time. People who have been coming to my channel, who have been a part of my family, meaning my YouTube family, for years, I speak on this all the time. I tell it all the time, and I can't preach this more than enough. Whenever you're dealing with a black woman, you have to do your research. And that's the same thing I tell my sisters, the same thing when it comes to dealing with a black man. You have to do your research. You have to realize that when people enter into your life, people come with baggage. And some people got more baggage than others. And the thing about it is, when you're dealing with a woman, you can learn a lot about her, as Nolan says, based on the type of company she keeps, and definitely it has a lot to do with the type of her background, where she came from. Did she come from a family with her mother who has 8, 9 baby daddies? Her mama is on husband number 5, husband number 6. It's all type of things that you have to look for. Now, this is not to say that just because a woman comes from a screwed up dysfunctional family, that automatically means something is wrong with her. But what I'm saying is, if you do your research, when you do see something out of pocket, when you do see something out of line, you'll be able to put those pieces of the puzzle together, and it'll make sense to you. Like, okay, I'm dealing with a woman that has a lot of problems. I'm dealing with a woman that's dysfunctional because of the type of family she comes from. You'll be able to put all the pieces together once you have done your research. And I tell black women the same thing. You got to check these men. You check these men background. But what has happened, like I said, so many women are overdosing off of attention, to the point what's starting to happen is, women don't care what kind of attention they get, even if it's bad attention, as long as it's attention. That's how bad it has become. As long as somebody's giving them attention, they don't care if it's negative or positive. And unfortunately, a lot of black women are putting themselves in very bad predicaments because of desperation, and putting themselves in positions to where they're making thirsty ass decisions, which is basically causing them to get caught up in a lot of chaos. And I get married because of feminism and the whole bad karma that comes with it. Well, yeah, I'm definitely that's why I'm going into this content, because we have to break down all of the elements. And the reason why I titled this content, about married women acting thotty, um acting more thotty than single women, is because I'm just starting to notice a lot of married women are really acting out. It's too many married women that are acting single. It disturbs me when I see a married woman constantly in a club. When she's in a club more than a single woman, that speaks volumes, and a lot of it has to do with, the problem is, a lot of some of these women have gotten married at really, really young ages. Meaning that what happens is, in some cases, when some females are fresh out of high school, still fresh out the meat market, meaning they haven't really been, they're not experienced, they haven't really been around the block a lot, they still young, still maturing. And what has happened with a lot of married women, while some married women are kind of screwed up today, a lot of them married at a very young age, meaning a lot of them went into marriage during their youth. And what happens is, there's some older pervert or some older, experienced con artist type dude who preyed on her during her youth. And that's what has happened to a lot of these married women. Some of these women got been married when they was 18 years old, 19, 20. And at that age, you don't know nothing. When you're 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, to become a wife at that age, that a lot of unfortunately, a lot of women done got preyed on. A lot of young females got preyed on by a lot of older dudes, especially if he's always been an older guy who's always had a lot of nice things. And if you meet a woman who comes from the struggle, and the more majority of us as black women, we come from the struggle. All of us didn't grow up with lawyers. All of us didn't grow up like Rudy Huxtable from the Cosby Show. Okay, all black women didn't grow up with a black father that was a doctor or had a high paying job, a black mother that's a lawyer had a high paying job. Let's face it, a majority of black women came up in a struggle. A lot of us were raised by other single women, and a lot of us were raised without fathers. So the majority of us already had a disadvantage from the moment we was conceived. Not having a real mother, and I've spoken on this a lot. A lot of black women are lost in the sauce because they have been women who don't know anything produced them and brought them in this world. A lot of women are screwed up based on the type of women who produced them. And if she didn't have a father to balance her, or to give her all the to put on to the game, to put on to how men out there in the world will manipulate her and take advantage of her, she would easily become prey. Or say she had a mother, and say she had a father. If she had a mother that was weak, who didn't have a backbone, who was spineless, who pretty much let her father abuse her or fight her or all of that, she was still at a disadvantage, even if the father was in the home. So what happens is, when young women go out into the world, and they go out into the world young, dumb, and not knowing anything, they could easily can fall prey to a guy that's older, who has more skills, who has more knowledge. He knows what to say, what to do to manipulate her. So what has happened is, as I stated, a lot of women that are married and acting out single, a lot of it has to do with, a lot of them got married young and they wasn't even ready for marriage. They didn't have all the womanly skills, they didn't have all the womanly abilities, they did not have all of what it took for them to be a wife. Well, what has happened in certain cases like that, you have some older guys, they would intentionally go behind younger females, because with a younger woman, in some cases, you can program her. you have a more an advantage to programming a younger female than you do an older female. You're dealing with a female that's 40 and over. You're not going to be able to program her or manipulate her as much because she's older and she knows the game. She knows the lies. She knows the manipulation. But whenever you're dealing with a young broad, younger broads are easier to manipulate because they don't know anything. And then if you get a young broad that came from a very poverty like situation, she came from a family that didn't have much anything, or she had a mother or a father that wasn't able to give her the best everything, whatever little bit that older dude does is going to seem like a lot to her. And that's what has happened to a lot of women who are married. They got married very, very young. They didn't know anything, you know. So unfortunately, when you get married very young, and in some cases, if you're dealing with a guy that's older, if you're married to a man that really has a fascination for younger women, what happens is as she becomes older, sooner or later, she's going to become old to him. He's not going to see her as the same young, perky, fresh meat that he first met when she was young. Eventually, as he spends years with this young girl, this younger female who he has been able to conform and manipulate. As she gets older, she's not that young girl anymore. So in some cases, some older men begin losing a sense of attraction. They're not as attracted to their young wives like they used to be because she's not that young perky flat tummy, you know, young female that he first met. She done got older now after she done, especially after she done buried his children. And I have 4, 5, 6 of his kids. Now she's putting on weight, especially if she was one of those women who never stayed in the gym, who never really got a lot good care of herself. You can have a young woman, I'd be 18 and 19, and by the time she's 25, she's looking like she's 40 because she's worn down. You done gave her so many children. You done let her bear all your babies. Now she has put on this excessive weight, and you've trained her to become so catering to you. She never catered to herself. So therefore, she never was able to take the time out to take care of herself. She never went to the gym. She never in some cases didn't get a college degree, things of that nature, because what happens is some men are so controlling and so possessive of the woman they're dealing with. She's not allowed to grow. She's not allowed to expand. She's not allowed to become better than what she is. The only thing he wants her to do is to basically be of assistance to him. So that's one of the factors as to what has caused a lot of married women to act out as if they're single. Ernest Big E, what's up, Ernest? And what's up, Cigar? Ernest Big E says some people are really not getting married for loving another person, but for convenience. Absolutely. It's all about convenience. A lot of people are out there in the struggle. They don't want to struggle by themselves. You have a lot of people that are not looking for marriage for the right reasons. A lot of people are not looking for a soulmate. They're looking for a helpmate or a roommate. They just want somebody that's going to uh help them out with the bills, help them out with the finances. You have a lot of people that are only marrying out of convenience, and this is the reason why a lot of marriages don't last. If you're only with somebody because they pay the bills or they got a good job, if y'all don't have something else to solidify that marriage will deteriorate. If you're only with that man because he makes good money, if you're only with that woman because she has a good job and she makes good money, 9 times out of 10, that marriage is not going to be successful, because what's going to happen is, God forbid, if that person loses their job, or God forbid, if y'all go through something very severe, like y'all lose a child or y'all lose your home or something like that, y'all are not going to be able to overcome it because y'all did not get married for the right reasons in the first place. Anytime two people come together and marry with an agenda, the marriage very rarely becomes successful. What ends up happening is you have two married people that are miserable with each other because there was no real love, there was no real connection. It was all about a dollar. And if I've seen it once, I've seen it 1,000 times. People who marry just because they got because that person is successful makes good money, that marriage is doomed from the start. Because what are you going to do if you only got with this person based on the fact that they got a good job or they make good money? What happens when they lose that job? What happens when they're not making that money? What else is going to keep the relationship going? Because if that was the only reason y'all connected in the first place, what other reason, what other way did you think the marriage was going to work? It just wasn't. You have to genuinely have a connection with that man, have a connection with that woman. You have to have real love. That's the only way it work. Y'all could watch all the Steve Harvey talk shows y'all want. Y'all could watch Ayanla and all of these shows and everything. And I'm not knocking any of these people and Dr. Phil and all of that. But the bottom line is, if y'all don't have any real love for each other, you're only with this man because he's a good provider. He makes good money. You're only with this woman because you can get her to do whatever you want her to do. You got her like your little house slave. She washes your drawers. She scrubs the crust from in between your toes. If you're with somebody, if you're married to somebody other than love, you're married to this person because you can control them, you can manipulate them, or because they are good providers. You both are going to be miserable. It's promised uh to disaster. It's going to end up in a disaster. It's just not going to be any other way. Said God, I work at a large office building, and some of the flirtiest women I meet are married. I totally said, God, I know you're not lying. I know you're not lying. That's why I'm doing this content, because that's why I'm going into the reasons why a lot of these married women are flirting with you men and trying to get attention from you men like they're single, because a lot of these married women, they're not getting everything they need from home. And that's why I'm breaking down all of the elements, so you guys, you men out there, will not fall prey to the game of a lot of these married women trying to hit on you or trying to flirt with you, because you may look at it like it's a bonus, like, okay, well, she's already married, so if I want to lay her or get what I want to get out of her, I ain't got to worry about her expecting nothing else out of me. You still got to be careful, even when you're dealing with a female that's in a relationship, because just because she's in a relationship with somebody, that don't mean she's going to be not less possessive, not expecting nothing out of you. It's not going to happen. She can be married and have a husband, and she's still, if you lay with this woman or if you invest in this woman, she's going to catch feelings for you just like she's like a single woman. It doesn't matter. So you're not playing it safe, guys, by dealing with women that are single. Because a woman is still a woman at the end of the day. She's going to catch feelings. And when women, as women, when we catch feelings, we become possessive, we become obsessive. And if you're not really to deal with women who bring them kind of problems to you, you don't want to go there. Okay. Hey, me boy, what's up, me boy? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you. Nolan says, yeah, people don't marry for the people, just for the sex. Exactly. T says, how do you stay in a marriage like that? Shaking my head. Exactly. I hate it when people say love don't pay the bills. They might as well say God don't pay the bills, because God is love. Yeah, Juan, and that, I mean, that's the truth. That's the reason why we have so many problems within the world today, because the world has become so consumed with a dollar. And I do realize the significance of money, because unfortunately the world expects us that's to have it. That's the only way we can survive in this world, is with a dollar. And I get it. Bills got to be paid, children got to be taken care of. But when dollars is your only motive, for wanting a relationship, you're with somebody for money, you're definitely putting yourself in a situation out of lost. That is something, as men and women, you do not want to put yourself in a situation to where you're only married to that person for money. Ernest says some women don't really want to grow in a relationship. They want to stay stagnant, not willing to learn. I could agree with that. As I stated, the problem with a lot of married women, as I mentioned to y'all before, the first thing I stated was, for everybody who's coming in, the reason why a lot of married women are acting single, because a lot of these women have married at a young age. Basically, they were girls. They were girls. They were not women. And the problem with a lot of you men today, the reason why a lot of men are so miserable in these marriages, because they have married women, married girls versus marrying a woman. Now, keep in mind when I say you married a girl instead of a woman, I'm not talking so much just age wise, because it's women in their 40s and 50s and still very childish. And I know some females that are in their 20s and are very mature. So when I say that you're dealing with a girl, I'm not talking about just age wise. I'm talking about mentally wise. You know what you're dealing with. A lot of problem is if you pick up a female that it is not that is young. And when I mean young, meaning young in the mind, meaning she do not know how to conduct herself as a woman. She doesn't know how to handle business. She doesn't know how to cook. She doesn't know how to clean. She does not know how to be basically a woman. A lot of that comes from the fact that when you meet these women young, they are still in their prime. They have not been out there in the world enough to know what it takes to be a woman. And again, if you meet her mother, that tells you a whole lot. Like we hear all the time, you watch how a man treats his mother, that tells you a whole lot about how he's going to treat you. And that's the same thing with these females. You monitor the kind of relationship they have with their father and monitor the type of relationship they have with their mother. The type of relationship they have with their parents pretty much gives you a strong indication of what type of female you're going to be dealing with. Excuse me, if she comes from a very dysfunctional family, 9 times out of 10, she's going to have a lot of dysfunction. So, like I stated, that was the first reason. The second reason is what happens in marriage. What makes a lot of married women resort to acting like they're single. It has to do with the fact that a lot of these married women are not getting any attention at home. They are not. They are not. It's a lot of married women that do not get no attention from their husbands. They don't get any. Just like sometimes you have married men. I hear married men say all the time, my wife isn't intimate enough. My wife done let herself go. My wife done she don't really give me no attention. Just like you have a lot of married men who do not get all attention they want, you have a lot of married women who do not get all the attention that they want from home. Because what has happened is, especially if she's been married for over 5 years and is in definitely 10 or more, what has happened is her husband may not be showing her that same gratitude of attention he first showed her when they were first married. Because let's face it, as you're in marriage, things change. Things change in marriage. We put on weight, and that goes for men and women. In marriage, people put on weight. In marriage, people hair turns gray. In some cases, people even lose all their hair in marriage. You lose your teeth in marriage. I mean, just things change because what happens as each day as we live, life is taking a piece of us away. Because slowly but surely, we all are dying by the day, whether we want to believe that or not. Every day that you wake up, ladies and gentlemen, you are close to dying. Okay. That is why the body deteriorates. No matter how much you run to the gym, no matter how much you get all the surgeries, you can do all of that. Life's still gonna take a toll. Guess what? Teeth still gonna fall out. Your hair still gonna fall out. Things that used to point north is gonna point south. You cannot do anything with life. You cannot fight Mother Nature. You could run and get all the little creams for wrinkles. You could dye your hair 1,000 times over. The body is designed to break down. What's up, Donetta? Thank you, hon, for coming on in. I appreciate you. Ennoble One, what's good? And my boy Rep is in the building, representing as usual. What's up? Appreciate you for coming on in. Yeah. But as I for y'all who were just tuning in, I'm talking about all of these married women that are acting single. That's what's on tonight's menu. Just talking about how marriage has a way of changing, and just different random topics that so I'm just talking about a little bit of everything. But people got to realize the body breaks down. Let me tell you guys, if you got with this woman because she got that ping ping pow and all this and that, let me tell you something. One day you're gonna wake up and her ping ping pow is gonna be drooping. Them same perky breasts that you loved so much about her when you first met. One day you're gonna wake up and while she's laying on her back, one of those same titties are gonna roll underneath her armpit. I mean, just face it. That is why it's important that you don't get with somebody for their looks, because looks, they do change. But what never changes is your heart and the love you have for one another. Because guess what? When you sincerely love one another, you will learn to get past that. You will learn to love each other's dinner rolls, okay? You will learn to love each other's gray hairs. You will learn to love each other's false teeth, okay? If it's really about love, and it's really about genuine connection, you will learn to embrace each other's faults. You will embrace, you know, the physical changes, because you know underneath that, that is who you really love. Y'all will find a way. Let me tell you something. Love will make you find a way to get past the faults and the flaws. It just does. I know it sounds crazy, but hey, only married people can understand. I understand single people are like, what the hell? What you mean? But that's how marriage works. Marriage is for better or for worse, in sickness and in health. It's not about, there nowhere in the vows does it say until you get too damn old, until you lose your hair, until you lose your teeth. There's no stipulations when it comes to love. There is not supposed to be. You're supposed to love each other unconditionally, because things happen in life. Things happen. And it does not matter how successful you are. It doesn't matter how great y'all doing financially. Things happen in life. God forbid if one of y'all get in a car accident and get paralyzed or something, and you got to help your wife or help your husband to the toilet every day. Your wife, your husband can't wash themselves, can't bathe themselves because they're paralyzed from the waist on down. It can get deep, you know. That's why marriage is a very sacred thing. Marriage is not something that you should take for granted, and it just saddens me that so many people play with marriage, and that is why a lot of people are so discouraged. A lot of people don't want to be married because it's not enough of positive examples, especially in the black community. We don't see enough of positive examples of marriage. Everything we see when it comes to marriage, ladies and gentlemen, is negative. You know, we treat the marriage now like it's a disease, but it's really what the both of you make of it. And I'm glad you brought that up, Ernest. About old school marriage, I'm gonna get back to that. That is why you have to pick and choose who to give yourself your energy to. And Rep and Ernest made both very valuable points. See, what I respect about old school marriages, you notice how back in the day they didn't have half as much as what we had today. They didn't have all the social media. They didn't have all this access to the things we have today. But you notice their marriages lasted longer. If you got parents or grandparents from back in the day, you know, who were married, their marriages lasted more than 20 years. People you back then used to be married for 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. These days, people are throwing in a towel. People are dropping marriage on a dime. At the first sign of trouble, people giving up on each other because we're in a situation. We're unfortunately we're in a microwave generation. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, we're in a microwave generation, and better. What I mean by that is everybody expect things to be done quick, an instant. Nobody wants to take their time. None of us have patience thanks to technology making everything fast, quick, and available and accessible. We have this technology attitude in marriage where if things it's the first sign of trouble, the moment we have an issue, we do not know how to come together as a grown people and sit down and settle our differences like a husband and a wife is supposed to. We're in a generation where we do not know how to do that. Back in the day, guess what? When granddaddy and grandmama got mad with each other, and all my old school heads in here, they didn't play that. It was no such thing as leaving each other. Y'all notice that? Our grandparents ain't been no leaving each other. As far as leaving, the only leaving you would do is when you seen your grandmama leave to go to church on Sunday after she done cook your granddaddy that heavy Sunday dinner, and she came right back after Bible study and after Sunday church. And as only leaving granddaddy did was when he went down the street to the juke joint to have him a bill, and he probably was sneaking and seeing Miss Betty on the side, but he knew to come back home and handle his business. That's how it used to be back in the day. Back in the day, because back then there was stipulations, there was boundaries. Even if Mr. Earl was messing with Miss Betty, because let's face it, cheating and stuff that's been going on way from the beginning of time. That ain't something I just started. But guess what? Back then, everybody knew to stay in their lane. Miss Betty didn't come to Miss Linda's house. Miss Betty knew that Miss Linda was Mr. Earl's wife and main chick. And she Miss Brenda, she respected the code. She knew how far to go. She knew her lane. She did not knock on Brenda did not knock on Miss Linda door. Brenda did not go to Miss Linda. Brenda did not go to Miss Linda church. Brenda stayed far away from Linda, even though she was wrong now, because I don't want nobody in here to think that I'm co-signing with cheating. Okay, I don't like cheating. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. But hey, it's just something that's always going on, and it will continue to go on. I'm not saying you got to deal with it and you got to deal with it, but I'm telling you, back in the day, there was still rules to this ish. You get what I'm saying? There was rules. People knew how far to go. See, when I think too many devices to distract folks from focusing. Yep, and T193, that is the absolute truth. Back in the day, our people didn't have all this special stuff. They didn't have smartphones with apps where you could transfer your money from your bank, from your savings to your checking account, and you could order food online. Back in the day, our people had to love, because there was no shortcuts. Big Mama had to cook for her husband. She couldn't go to Publix and buy some fried chicken. I mean, Mr. Earl, he had to work on the car. It was stuff back then. Our old school marriages had more substance because they did not have access to the things that we have now. Unfortunately, people have gotten lazy. What's up, freelance? Thank you for coming in. What's new? You always come here to pick with me. That is nothing new. But what's up? Thank you for coming in, freelance. Today, single mothers have an entire government structure. And of course, freelance. I have spoken on this several occasions, and I'll say it again for all of those who never caught my content from the past. The system definitely has a lot to do with the dynamics of how the dynamics of the family has changed. The system has everything to do with it. Once the system has made the majority of us as black women believe that we do not need to be married. We do not need the men. We do not need to be wives. We don't need to be none of that. That's why so many women are content and satisfied with just being baby mamas. They don't have to strive to be wives, because the system is going to provide them with everything they need. So the system has taken the place of husbands. The system provides these women with housing. The system provides these women with income to feed their children and to pay their rent. Everything that a husband should be doing, the system has replaced that, unfortunately. And the bad part is, I kind of feel for these sisters. I kind of feel for us as black women. And this is not to say that because I'm a married woman, I'm better than these women out here who on the system. And this is not to say that all married women we're so perfect and we're so wonderful, because um we still go through, just in a different or just in a different page. We still go through changes. We're not exempt from problems. Just because you're a married woman, that don't mean you're exempt from problems and you're exempt from going through. You're going to have different problems, but at the end of the day, we're all still women. That's why you Michelle go Nicola Street. Yeah, freelance. I mean, we have to keep it real. That's the only way as women we gonna grow. We can't keep lying and sugarcoating and co-signing on each other's bull. We can't do it. We're not going to grow as black women. We're going to continue to be stagnant as long as we keep trying to patty cake and sugarcoat everything. It's just not going to work. Yeah, so I definitely feel you, freelance. But yeah, you just have I lost my train of thought. I don't know what the hell I just said. It may be the wine, but yeah, old school marriages, people learn to sit together. Oh, it was a system. But yeah, the system has taken the place of a lot of men. But what's starting to happen is what a lot of black women, what a lot of us as black women, what we don't understand is that the system is selling us short, because the system, maybe just because the system could provide you with housing, and the system could provide you with food on the table, and the system could give you all this governmental assistance. What a lot of women are not understanding, but slowly but surely, a lot of black women are starting to find out, is that a dollar cannot take the place of a father. It can't. Um, all it is, what the system does, the system provides necessities. But these children coming up in this generation, they need more than necessities. The problem with a lot of the black youth, our children, is not our black children do not have a family foundation. And as black women, we have to realize we cheat our children from the beginning when we strive to become baby mamas instead of wives. When we randomly just give ourselves away to anybody, and we do not um we don't strive, we just strive to be a baby mama. Once you have made yourself complacent with just being a baby mama, what you're not understanding is you're cheating your child from the beginning, because it's so many things that your child is going to need from that father, other than just a child support check once a month. It's going to be things you're going to go through with that child, that you're going to need that man's help. You're going to need him to really be there. And I'm not talking about just his check. And the what I hate the fact is the system has manipulated a lot of black women, has manipulated us into believing that we're fine. We don't need our black men. As long as we get our check, we got our housing, we get our child support, we're good. We're not good. We're not good, because the problem is, as a black woman, you may think you're good because you're enjoying the luxury of your housing, you're enjoying the luxury of your food stamps, you're enjoying the luxury of your tan of check or whatever else you're getting. What a lot of black women are not understanding is their children are suffering. I don't care if you buy them the best gifts every Christmas with the child support that you receive. I don't care if you buy them the best of snacks and cookies or whatever you use to pacify your children. It would not take the place of having a father in their lives. That is a thing that a lot of us as black women, we don't want to face the fact that our children need their dads. They need their daddies in their lives. And that goes for whether if you have a son or a daughter. Black women, we need to stop being so focused on the dollar and be more concerned with making sure our children has a connection with their father. Because let me tell you, that dollar don't solve all the problems that your child is going to have to experience in the future. Yes, money is important. Am I saying that a man should not take care of his children financially? No, that is not what I'm saying. But what has happened is a lot of us as black women have become so hell bent over dollar. We let dollar signs, we let the amount of the paycheck become more of a priority than the fact that has become more important than our children having a solid father figure, a man in their life to teach them, to guide them, and give them structure, because we cannot raise these babies by ourselves. And for a lot of the black women who have lied to themselves and made themselves believe they can do it all by themselves, the majority of them got sons that are in prison right now. A lot of them got sons who are in the grave right now, all because they became so concerned with the dollar. They gave less than the rat's ass about the father. Same thing with girls. A lot of women got daughters that are out of control, disrespectful, bringing home baby after baby after baby, because you became so concerned with the child support, you did not allow that man to have an advantage of being in your child's life. Now, the thing is, if you wanted this man to be in his life, their life, and you gave him the privilege to be there, and he's just a deadbeat, then I mean, then that's not your fault, because you did all that you could to allow him to be there. So I'm not knocking the women out there who have allowed the father of their children to have a product, have play a significant part in their life. If you are a mother, you did everything you could to allow that man to be there for your child, without making him miserable, without bringing him chaos. Then this content is not for you. I'm talking about these women out here who know they got troubled children who need their dads, but because you got so much pride, or you so mean, you so nasty, you so evil, you so bitter, you pissed about stuff in the past that happened between the both of y'all that you can't change, instead of you letting all of that go and learning to focus on the future and learning to focus on your child's well-being, your child suffers. Women, when we allow ourselves to become bitter and we allow ourselves to become toxic off of our own negative perception based on the poor choices we made in life, our children suffer for that. Our children pay the price for that. You should never ever get to that point in life to where you become so angry and bitter with the poor choices that you made. You're willing to let your child suffer by not allowing that father to be in your child's life. All you looking for is the check. All you looking for is you check your EPT card and you just want to make sure that the child support hit the card, versus you calling this man. You see your child is troubled, you see your daughter in trouble, you see your son is in trouble. Instead of you reaching out to their father, if he's the kind of man that's willing to be there, I ain't saying he's a perfect man, and I'm not saying that that man needs to kiss your ass in order for him to have a connection with that child. Meaning, as long as he's a active participant, because it's so many women who don't get that. I do not understand, if you have a man who wants to be a part of his child's life, to not give them that, to not give your child that room. It is not about you. It is about the child. And what happens is, a lot of women, when they produce babies, I don't know what it is about us as women. We think because we carried the child in our bodies for 9 months that we have all the entitlement. A lot of us as Black women, as mothers, we have this sense of entitlement. When we conceive children, we feel like, we own those children more than the father does. But the thing about it is, what a lot of women are not understanding is, if if you had never gotten involved with that man, you wouldn't have been able to have that child in the first place. You did not have that child by yourself. You didn't. You may have carried that child for 9 months, but at the same token, you didn't produce that child by yourself. But you have some women, they will pull that crap. They get possessive with these children, and they don't allow the man, they don't allow the man to have an active role in their child's life, because it becomes more about them and less about the child. What's up, Jeremy? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate you for stopping by this evening. It's too many of us as women playing mind games with parenting. I don't care how much animosity you got towards the father or the mother of your child or whatever. When it comes down to the child's well-being, that's supposed to come first. It's too many parents playing mind games, but I can honestly say it's more women than men that are doing it. And I know, and as Black women, we are quick to feel judged. As Black women, we are quick to feel criticized. As Black women, we do not like to be ridiculed. We do not like for people calling us out on anything. Yeah, everything is going pretty good, Jeremy. I'm still hanging in there with the police academy. They're killing me, but obviously I'm not dead. God is still keeping me, so I'm surviving it. Freelance says, because Black single mothers raise their daughters as principal, but raise their sons as as paupers. That's why we have, entitled women and Sims going at it. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I mean freelance. That. I mean that's the truth. As I've preached on this before. When you don't have two parents raising a child, I don't care if that child is a boy. I don't care if it's a girl. But let me start off with if y'all have a son. This is what a lot of black women have to understand. Well, us as black women, we have to realize that when it comes to these sons, I don't have a son, but I have sisters that have sons. I got nephews. I see what my mom went through raising my brothers. But when you are a single mother and you have a son, well, as black women, we cannot raise our sons how to become men. We can't. We can't even teach it. This is how this is a little trick for a lot of for some of my sisters out there, for them to really understand where I'm coming from. To all you sisters, let me tell y'all something. Let me tell you how you're not designed to raise a son by yourself. Let me give you a prime example. I'm gonna make it very kindergarten for all of my black women out there, for all my sisters, including myself. This is a simple key for how you cannot raise a son, raise your son to become a man. When he has to use the bathroom, and this is not to say women haven't done it, but you cannot, even though I know many women have done it, you can't really teach him how to pee. I know it sounds silly, but it's a simple thing. And it's no different than a man who has a daughter and raising that daughter by herself. He cannot teach her about her menstrual cycle. You know why? Because it's important. Whereas when we produce children, that is why they have to have a balance. They have to have a mother and a father, because it's always going to be something that one cannot teach the other. You as a woman, it's going to be things that you cannot teach your son that only his father can. Okay. And same thing for men who are single fathers and who got to raise their daughters. They can't tell their daughter nothing about her menstrual cycle. He may either have to have his current wife do it, his mother do it, or his sister does it. In other words, all of us have different gifts that we have to give to our children. It's certain things that we all have to teach our children. And the thing about it is, if that's the reason why, as freelance stated, this generation is messed up, is because our kids are not getting the correct information they need from who they need it from. And as I stated, I'm just using an example. If you're a single mother and you have a son, you cannot, if it's just you're raising him, you have to realize your son is only exposed to all of your feminine ways, meaning that if the father is not in his life, or you won't allow the father, is one thing. If the father walked away and never died, that's beyond your control. You can't do nothing about that. But what I'm saying is, if their father is a willing participant and willing to help you, it's very important that you put all your own selfishness aside and you allow him to do that. Because if your son is only exposed to all your feminine characteristics, because as women, we have our feminine characteristics, meaning that we always got mood swings. As women, we're bitching all the time about stuff. As women by nature, we're overly emotional. We're that's just all a part of being a woman. We're emotional creatures. If your son is only exposed to you all the time, you don't think he's going to adopt all of your emotional characteristics? If there's no man in the household to balance him out and jack him up sometimes, to say, hey boy, pick yourself up. Stop acting like a little girl. Get your shit, get your stuff together. I like a man. If he's only exposed to all your feminine characteristics, if you have a son, all he knows is your feminine ways. And I'm not just saying the fact that that can possibly is going to your feminine characteristics could make him feminine in a sense as far as his sexual preference, even though in many cases that's an issue too. A lot of young men who are that way, a lot of it has to do with they've only been had exposure to feminine characteristics. There was never no man around. Now, some people are not gay for that reason. Some people gay because they choose to be gay and they're happy with that lifestyle. And I'm not knocking them for it, but I'm just being honest that some of these young men, a lot of them adopted a lot of their feminine characteristics from the single mother who raised them. And if she was a single mother who was not smart enough to balance how to still, allow him to be a young man, and even though he's only been exposed to her feminine characteristics, now I say he's gonna adopt all her feminine characteristics, which means he's gonna be bitchy all the time, just acting like a woman. And I don't mean just like in a way of being gay. I know some men who are straight and act very womanly, and and meaning that, yeah, he's not acting all like feminine, like wearing, like getting a French manicure and pedicure and getting hair bundles sewed in and stuff like that. I know some men who are very straight heterosexual, but got feminine characteristics ways, meaning they bitching all the time, yelling, screaming, getting emotional. All of that has a lot to do with the fact they've always just been around a woman. They have not had a man in their lives to balance um their masculinity. It's important that these young men have a father in their life so they don't lose their masculinity. It's very important. If you just want your son to only know you and be around you, he's going to adopt all of your ways, women. It's important that you allow your son's father to be in his life. Even if you can't stand him, you can't stand being around him. Drop your son off over there for the weekend, whatever. Let him be around another man. As women, let's be honest. Um, we don't have no, very rarely do we have a toolbox. You're not going to teach your son how to fix things. You're not going to teach your son how to change a tire on a car. You're not going to teach him how to do none of that. Let's be frank. He needs a man in his life to teach him how to perform like a man. Not only that, he needs his father, where his father could structure him how to handle his anger in a masculine manner. You don't want your son handling his anger the way you handle your anger as a woman. That's not a good look. And I know I may be stretching too far out there, but as women, you got to look further ahead. You can't just look at the here and now. He needs to be around his father. You're not going to teach him how to dribble a ball up and down the court. You're not going to teach him how to go into the car and look for the head gasket, and how to change the oil. Now you do have some women, but I'm not talking about the exceptions to the rule, because every time I do a content, I'm always getting somebody. But what about, well, women, we do this, we do that. Well, women, we know how to work on cars. I'm not talking about the minority. I'm talking about the majority. Believe me, I get it. It's going to always be exceptions to the rules. I understand that, but that's not what that's besides the point. You cannot teach your son how to be a man. You cannot teach your son how to deal with society from a woman's point of view, because you are not a black man. You don't know what black men go through in the workplace, in society, just being a black man in general. You cannot relate. You cannot teach your son something that you don't have. If he don't have a father, allow a man to be a part of his life, whether if it's his uncle, whether if you got, a male friend who's willing to, play that role. Women, we cannot teach our sons. We can't. I mean, later 40s black women empowerment speeches. It is not our duty. It wasn't designed that way from the beginning of time. And how you and why a lot of you know don't know how a lot of y'all not understanding is when y'all don't allow the fathers to have an active role with the son, that same son will turn around and raise up on you in a manner that you ain't even prepared for. I've seen single mothers who at some point in time made their sons mad or didn't do something that the son wanted to do, and that son raised up on them like he was her husband. And I don't mean so much physically beat her down, but again, when you deprive him of that masculine counterpart, there's no balance. So is there's no gray area. It's going to either be too much of this or not enough of that. I've seen single mothers, and I'm not saying this is the case with all single mothers, but I've seen single mothers who have given their sons so much of their feminine characteristics and feminine ways to the point that same son to turn around and want to slap them or want to knock them down. As a young black man, these young black men have to have their fathers due to the fact that he's going to have another black man to teach him how to deal with his anger. Mom, you can't do that. You can't. I know you want to do it all alone, mom. I know you got all this pride, mom. I know you bitter, mom, because he didn't treat you right, and what he remarried or whatever little anger you got against him. But if you keep your son from his father, you are cheating him out of being the man that he needs to be. Now, if his father's on drugs or stay in and out of jail or something like that, then I could understand you in a sense wanting to protect your son from that. But even with that, sometimes as parents, we try so hard to protect our children from all of the negative things. But sometimes parents, you have to expose your children to the bad. That is how they learn. We can't keep sugarcoating with this generation. This generation is totally different from us. Sometimes, if he got a father that's on drugs, got a father in jail, let him go to that jail and see that father. Let him see where he could end up. If his father in drugs, a father on the street in drugs, and you know he hangs out at a certain spot, drive your son past there and say, you know what, see what your father doing? You don't get yourself together, this could be you. Sometimes you got to expose your son to the negative side. So you could make basically you're being proactive as far as aiding him in making a different choice, a better choice. Now, if you have a daughter, it's another reason. All the black women, as black women, we have to allow our the father our children to be there for our daughters, because mothers, even though your daughter is a female just like you cannot teach your daughter everything. There's going to be things that her father is going to have to step in and intervene and teach her, because it's so much trick, it's so much manipulation, and by her father being a man, he's going to teach her what to be cautious of. Now, I know the main thing as a black woman, when I made this statement, I know there's a negative black woman out, is a negative woman out there who just gravitated towards that statement and say, and she's thinking, well, why would I allow my daughter to be around him? He done treated me wrong. He ain't do me right. I don't want my daughter to have no parts of him and this and that. Okay, I get it. If he's been really, really abusive, just give you the Ike Turner, then I get it. You got every right to protect your daughter from a man who abused you. But at the same token, a lot of you women, a lot of the problem with us as women is it's not that we're trying to be cautious of what the father can and can't do to our child, but the problem is with the majority of us, we're still bitter about how things transpired from the past. A lot of us as women, we are unfortunately, a lot of us are intervening in the fathers of our children having a relationship with our kids because we're still angry about things that did not work out for us with them. And in some cases, you have some women who have It's not even so much that they're bitter. It's not even so much that they're ain't they're being trying to give the man a hard time. You do have some sorry ass bum ass dudes out there who just really don't give a damn about their kids. But I can't put it all on the guys, because for every deadbeat father, there's a deadbeat mother. You have some deadbeat ass moms out there who do not take care of their kids. And they think just because the system has given them housing and given them food stamps, the system has lied to some of our black women and made our black women think they are entitled. That's one of the things I hate about the system. The system has a lot of us as black women thinking we we are entitled, and you're not entitled. If anything, the problem with the system is the system has rewarded a lot of us as black women for poor life decisions. They preach that to us all the time in police academy. Now it just done stuck with me. Poor life decisions, poor life decisions. I hear that line so many times, it's just done cemented in my brain. But the system has given a lot of us as black women entitlement for making poor life decisions. It's okay to lay with anybody in the wrong. You can get a check for it. You can get housing for it. You can get food stamps for it. It's okay not to be married. You can get housing for it. You can get food stamps for it. You can get TANF checks for it. The system has given a lot of us as black women a delusional outlook on life. And this is the reason why a lot of us are catching it. We're going through the motions because the problem is the system has set a lot of us up for failure, because what the system has not taught us is that family is more important than finance. Finance is a resource. Family is a source. There's a difference between the two. As black women, we cannot get so hung up on the dollar that we forget about the father. Okay, yeah, you get your money, you get your 800-900, however much you get a month. But what about this child having a relationship with his dad? What about that? What about him having a man? What about your daughter having a man that's going to be there at times when you can't be there? What about that? God forbid if something happens to you and you have to leave this world. And you done taught your child to hate the father, to hate his dad, and you can't be here. You can't speak from the grave. And all your child got left is the man that you talk so badly about. People do not want to think that far ahead, because as I stated, what happens is it becomes all about us. We become more and more and more less concerned, ladies, with the well-being of our children. We're more concerned about the dollar and less concerned about the father. Now, Rerun, what's up, Rerun? Appreciate that. What's up, Donetta? I don't know if I spoke to you earlier, but I'm speaking to you now. I apologize if I didn't acknowledge you, but when I get on the roll, everybody be coming in on me. He has a little bit late walking around the house with both hands and pants and watch him. I told her, but she did not know what he was doing. Exactly, Rerun. That's what I'm saying. As women, we cannot raise our black boys. We can't raise them. We called them in the 60s. Oh, yeah. Y'all right, freelance on rep. That is true. Yeah, no, I was just acknowledging you, Donetta. I didn't know if I spoke to you earlier or not, so I just wanted to say, hey, how you doing? Thank you for stopping by. But anyhow, let me see. Just 1 second, y'all.
She say, do you love me? I tell her only partly. I only love my bed and my mom.
Hello. Yeah, nothing much, just chilling. Okay, so where you at? You need me to meet you somewhere? Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Chilling. Then she said a movie or something. Hold on, let me get off this. Let me go ahead and log off. Hold on. All right, everybody. I am back. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to shut everything down. I'm getting too many calls and everything. I thought I had the rest of the evening to kind of finish up my content. So I've been on for about an hour and some change anyway. But anyway, I want to thank all of y'all for stopping by this evening, for hanging out with me. I just want to go ahead and at least do this content because I know it's been a while since I logged on. But definitely, y'all, I thank y'all for supporting me. I thank y'all for the donations. And again, I will be going live again very soon. So I know it's been kind of abrupt, but I'm starting to get too many calls. I think something is going on in my family, so I need to reach out and make sure everybody's good. So again, I want to thank all of y'all. This is your girl, Lady Mocha. And remember, I'm going to always pour you a cup of truth and break you off with a slice of knowledge. Y'all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll be hollering at y'all soon. Bye.